Hello and welcome back to Cooking with Lynn. Today's an exciting day. I'm going to teach you how to make herb bread. I'm going to go over some of my key star ingredients, and what I like is Red Star yeast. This is a active dry yeast. You can buy it on Amazon. And when you store it in the freezer. And also King Arthur whole wheat flour. I love King Arthur. King Arthur. Now this is the key secret here. Bread flour. Why bread flour? It has a higher gluten content. Gluten, which means that there's more protein. More protein in the flour means you're gonna have a taller loaf, and it's just a better texture all around if you had to really dive into it. All right, now ingredients. 4 cups high gluten flour. Here's 1 cup of the whole wheat flour. And over here, I should have went right to left. That's okay. Half a cup of scalded milk, cold to room temperature. This is not scalded yet. Why do we scald milk? Well, because even though it goes through the pasteurization process, it does still have one enzyme, and this enzyme is not good. Once you scald it, it kills that enzyme, creating a fluffier bread. And then of course we're gonna have our herbs. We're gonna have 2 tablespoons of dried chives and 2 tablespoons of dried parsley, 2 teaspoons of dried basil, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1.5 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast, and 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of canola oil, 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And then also we're going to have, and don't mind that oil in there, I had the oil in there primarily, but then I ran out of dishes. So this is 1.5 cups of warm water. It'll be about 110 degrees. It needs to be that way so that the yeast can do its action. It's gonna foam up, and I'll show you that here shortly. Let's go. Okay, we are starting to scald the milk. As you can see, the bubbles just start around the outside. You wanna stir it constantly. And then what we're gonna wanna see is a bubble starting in the center where it just starts to boil. And then we know those enzymes are being wiped out from the milk so that we can have a fluffier bread. There we go. It's just, looks like it's just starting here. Get a little stir here. And then we're gonna let it cool down to room temperature. And while this is cooling down, then we're gonna mix all the flours together and all of these herbs that we have. And let me see here, it is, yep, just about to boiling here. I wanna see a little bit more bubbles here. Okay, I'm happy, we are there. Enzymes gone. Okay, now let's move on to the next step. Here we are back, and we have the temperature, here the water. It's like 98, 99, 100, let me see here. That's close enough. 101, so now we're ready. This is just a Weber thermometer that I use, and so we're ready to go. Now I'm going to add the sugar. I honestly believe that adding sugar to the yeast really helps. Now we're gonna pour in the yeast here. Just like that. I'm going to give it a quick stir. Whoops, I missed some here. I'll clean that up here in a bit. Stir this up. Now we're going to let that sit until it starts forming a nice foam on top. It really takes about 5 minutes or so. Sometimes if it's cooler, it might take a little longer. And don't worry, I'm going to put these yeast seeds back in. All right, we are back. Look at that yeast. It's ready. Okay, over to the mixer. We are going to lock it up on the other side. Lock it here. Actually, what I'm going to do first, I'm sorry. I was going to add my flour. It's a lot easier. It's upright. Now, the wheat flour. Okay. And all the lovely herbs salt. Let's just put my oil in there. Let's just start to mixing it up. Turn it on. Mix it. Here at the sides, making sure it's all nice mixed up. Those dry ingredients are good and mixed. Okay, now I'm going to start a little bit more oil. Now I'm going to start slowly putting in the yeast mixture. Looks like, see, I got a little bit of sugar there in the bottom, so I'm going to put some more of my warm water in there. Swish it around. A little bit more. Just slowly add the water in there. Just like that. More water. And also slowly incorporate the milk. It's lukewarm, it's pretty much room temperature now. Slowly incorporate that. I've got a little bit of water left here, but I want to see how this all comes together. So you're going to put too much in there. Alright, let's let that mix a little bit. Let's see where the status is in the dough mixture. Is it starting to pull away? Does it need a little bit more of that water or not? Oh yes, this is exactly what I did. Add the rest of the water to the dough, like stated, and it's pulling away to the sides of the bowl, which means this is good, perfect recipe, I'm loving it. So now we're going to let that knead for about 5 more minutes, and then we're going to take it out, form it, and put it into a bowl, and then we're going to let it rise for about an hour or until doubled in size. Sometimes if it's a little cooler out, it actually takes longer. So we shall see. Okay, we're back, and here's the dough. It smells so good. Those herbs. This is going to be incredible, and it's not even baking yet. So we're going to get this to bake, and this is kind of how I form my dough. I kind of just go around and around, kneading it a little bit more. It's like this. I've well oiled my big bowl, and the next thing we're going to want is for this to double in size. If it's not doubled in size, don't bake it. Don't use it. Don't go on to the next step, putting it into the pans, because all you're going to do is bake a rock. You don't want rocks for bread. You want fluffy. We're going through all the steps. We're scalding the milk. We're using high gluten flour, blah, blah, blah. So now we're doing all the things. Here we go. So let it sit for about an hour. I'm going to cover it with one of my kitchen towels, and then we'll be back. Hello and welcome back. We are here, back to the double in size dough. Now we're going to punch it down, make it into logs, and divide it. Let me see. Yeah, that looks good. Punch it down. It smells so good. Then we're going to let it raise until it is again doubled in size in the pans. I'm going to just work the dough a little bit here, just like this. Just knead it around. Look at the herbs in there. Oh, and the smell. I can smell those herbs. I can't imagine what it's going to smell like. It's going to smell like so good by the time we make this bread. All right, now we're going to cut it in half. Get my cutter. Like that. Like kind of longish. Now, cut it in half, just like that. This one needs a little more. Yeah, looks about right. We need this one. bit of a log. Try and make it as even as possible. Like that. There's one. Do the same thing here. Kind of form it into your log. Kind of pull it under. Making it kind of a loggy shape. That. Actually, do that a little better. A little better of a log. This one may be a little bigger. Should have had my scale out, but it's okay. All right, here we go. And I'm gonna go cover them. I'm gonna go put them in the window where it's nice and warm. It took like 2 hours for the other dough to double in size because it's fairly cool here in the kitchen, so I had to move it over to the window in the sun where it's warm. So that's where we're off to. Then when they've doubled in size, we're ready. And do not bake this. Bake it when it's doubled in size. And even after you have to wait a couple hours, because maybe your house is colder, or maybe it's only an hour. It will just depend. So pay attention. These are very, very useful tips. See you shortly. And here is the moment we have been waiting for. The bread is done and the house smells amazing. Tap on it. Sounds hollow. Use a bread knife. See the serrated? And then we're gonna go in a seesaw motion, like you're cutting a piece of wood. Back and forth. Slightly gently down, back and forth, gently down. Look, nicely done. Do another one, back and forth, seesaw, back and forth, very gently. And then I'm going to make some toast cheese sandwiches out of this, and it's gonna have some chicken, poblano pepper, and some cheese. Really simple, but this bread makes the best toasted cheese sandwiches ever. All right, enjoy your bread. I'm gonna have a piece here. I should have some butter, but I don't have any butter. Homemade bread. Till later.